Hello, everybody. Welcome back to No Trailers Allowed, my movie and streaming show podcast where I do not watch trailers beforehand. I'm your host, Jersh. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find more episodes on my website, superjersh.com. You can support me and get this podcast early and ad-free by visiting patreon.com/superjersh. You can watch the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/superjersh. You can follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at superjersh. You can email me to be a part of the show with your questions, comments, or suggestions by using the email notrailersallowed@gmail.com. I want to give a quick patron welcome to new patrons Jennifer, Juan, and Tachaya. I want to thank you, Patreon executive producers Mirrors, Triss, and I Love Manatees, and thank you, legendary Patreon producer Zelbinian. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my Oscars 2022 prediction results and review Severance. So I have the Oscars 2022 results pulled up and ready to go. I haven't gone over them in detail, and I haven't compared them to my predictions. I have not looked at my predictions since I made them, so I don't even remember who I guessed would win. Now, the Oscars at the time of this recording did happen a couple of weeks ago, the same weekend that I was actually recording a short film that I had written and directed. And while a good friend of mine and the director of photography on the short film was in town, Gunyer, while he was here visiting, we did some live streams on Twitch, my Twitch channel, which is at the time of this recording named at Jersh Plays on Twitch. Anyway, long story short, the Will Smith Chris Rock slap incident, we kind of were able to have a live reaction to it on the Twitch stream because Mirrors shared it with us while we were streaming live on Twitch. So I think the VOD is available on Twitch. Maybe I'll try to clip it and highlight it just to save it for the future. But yeah, so I actually reacted to it live. I was shown the clip and asked if I thought it was real or not. Of course, we all know now that it was real, but I thought I don't know. I'll share a few of my thoughts on the whole thing, even though, I think it is pretty self-evident that it was an insane mistake on the part of Will Smith. The only reason I'm even talking about it is because patrons asked me to talk about it. I don't, it's gone. Will Smith should have never did that. Anyway, I'm just saying the reason that I'm talking about it is because it happened. This is my Oscars follow-up show. Yes, the Oscars were a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't recorded my episode yet. So I'm really not much into gossip. But I will say that I did see the the situation, and I think I was honestly in shock. I didn't think it was real. I thought maybe Will Smith walked up on stage and gave Chris Rock a stern looking at or something, and then somebody had animated his arm. When I first watched it, I was like, there's no way that actually genuinely happened. Sure enough, it did. And what can I say? A couple of things. There's not a lot to say. Will Smith was completely out of line. I don't care how bad the joke was. I don't care. Their words. You weren't defending your family because your family wasn't in danger. It's Chris Rock. It's the Oscars. It's, now I do understand, in my personal opinion, there's probably, that probably was some greater issues maybe boiling to the surface. Maybe that kind of pushed him over some sort of edge with some other things that he's maybe dealing with. I know there's a lot of gossip online about his relationship and the jokes that can be made about him and Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm not going to get into all that, I suppose, but I would also say it's pretty uncharacteristic for, regardless of who he is as a private person, it's very uncharacteristic of how he has presented himself as a public persona. For literally decades, I think we've known him as a a good guy, a family man, who takes entertainment seriously and everything that goes with it. To quote Aladdin, um, like not just being good in the movies, but being good on press tours and being good about interviews and really giving time and to people and fans and promoting things. Like not all actors are into that, and Will Smith seems to, for a long time, have been pretty into that and pretty positive about basically every damn thing he's ever done. So, um, definitely out of character for him. I thought Chris Rock was like an exemplar an exemplary reaction that we could all hope to aspire to in such a shocking, strange moment like that. Like I'm here to make a few jokes, and yeah, the joke was it's a 25-year-old movie reference. Like there's a million other jokes you could have made. I don't know, and I haven't researched like who wrote the joke. I don't think it was written. I don't even know if Chris Rock wrote it. It felt like a very off the cuff bullshit. I've got 2 seconds left on stage joke. Like it didn't. It seemed like there was zero weight to it, uh, and yeah, apparently there was, and um, yeah, I just thought how he handled himself was incredible. Now, thankfully, because it's been a couple of weeks since it happened, the aftermath has sort of played out. A lot of other sort of prognosticators and people who get into the gossipy more talk, which, I mean, I'm not against it. It's just not my thing. If people wanted, if you want to hear me talk about something about movies, let me know. But I usually am just here to talk about the movies. But in this case, because we're talking about the Oscars and it was such a big time event, I thought I would share my thoughts for the patrons, for the hardcore supporters who wanted to know. I think that, the question was raised like, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about it now. It's like Chris Rock tells a bad joke, Smith laughs, then within like 7 seconds real time, he's on the stage slapping him. And again, because you don't think that you're in danger, dude. Like, it's like the same reason that Will Smith should have known that he wasn't protecting his family was the same reason that he so confidently walked onto the stage and approached Chris Rock to his face with zero resistance. Because it's the Oscars. We're all rich and famous. We're just here fucking around. You're probably going to win an Oscar in 10 minutes. What the fuck are you doing? Just it's insane that it happened. And I don't know, like everybody, there's touchy subject matter. Let's talk about comedy and jokes for a second. There's touchy subject matter for every single living human being in this, for every joke that you're fine with because of your life experience and the things that you've gone through. There are thousands, if not millions, of people who are not okay with a single joke you're comfortable hearing because of their life experiences. If somebody makes a joke about, makes, a romantic joke about carving your initials into a tree, somewhere in the world there's a conservationist or an environmentalist who cares about the damage to trees, and this joke just simply isn't funny. Right? You cannot please everybody. Jokes, comedy is strange. I've said it before, maybe not on this podcast, but comedy is strange. Sometimes things are funny because they're true. Sometimes things are funny because they're not true. Sometimes things are funny because you relate to them. Sometimes things are funny because of how far from ever relating to that situation you will be. Sense of humor in life is a very strange thing. It's not, you don't know what's going to make somebody laugh, People who are professional comedians who are literally funny for a job tend to have a better sense of humor than the average day job workers, people who don't take comedy so much, people who want to be made to laugh instead of making people laugh. And I'm saying all this because, like, my personal opinion is that nothing should be off limits when it comes to comedy, because you don't know what people have been through or what people are dealing with. You genuinely don't know. And as an audience member, you have to understand that if there's a joke that approaches subject matter that has a personal significance to you because of the things that you've been through in your life, it's not a personal attack on you from the performer. They're speaking in vagaries. They're speaking in terms of comedy, in setups and payoffs, in situations. So, we need to be, mature and reasonable adults when we are in a public place, a public gathering where performances happen, and in particular comedy can happen, and understand that, like, the things we're going to hear tonight are just part of a show, and there's no reason to take it that seriously. So, like I said, I think it was very uncharacteristic of Will Smith. I think something boiled over within him, and there's no doubt in my mind that he absolutely regrets what he did. It set a bad example for him, for his kids, for whatever. Anyway, it's all been said. But the last thing I want to say is, as far as the aftermath of the situation, do I think he should have had his Oscar taken away? No. That the performance, the press tour, the nomination, the win, the statue, all of that is unrelated to his act literally that night, 20 minutes before he won the award. And again, I don't know all of my Oscars history, but I know that there are some pretty unsavory characters out there who, and it would not surprise me, and I would not doubt if there are some other you know, actors, directors, producers, what have you, out there with awards who have maybe done maybe worse things, and maybe it's apples and oranges, whatever. But I'm just saying, the award itself should have had nothing to do with the repercussions of his actions, because that's separate from that. We're talking about your conduct while you're at the award ceremony, not whether or not you deserve the award for which you were nominated. As far as being suspended for 10 years, now that that's come out, well, first he withdrew from the academy, which he had to take some action, and that's all he can do. Again, we're just talking about awards. It is also strange that even though he got suspended from attending the Oscars for 10 years, he can still be nominated for Oscars. He can still win Oscars. He can still go to before parties and pressers and after parties, everything but the ceremony itself. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years that is let go anyway, just on whatever, just the passage of time. Yeah, I thought it was a really crummy situation all around, and it's a bummer that it distracted from, like, the Oscars are cheesy, and and it is beautiful, rich, fortunate human beings living out beautiful, rich, fortunate lives who entertain us to distract us from our maybe not so good lives. Even if we have good lives, you could love your life, but you still love entertainment, right? Even entertainers love entertainment. Filmmakers love films. They like watching them. It doesn't necessarily have to be escapism. You can just enjoy it as a piece of art and piece of entertainment, you don't always have to be trying to get out of a bad life. You can just like a good movie. But yeah, so, like, grand scheme, I mean, real grand scheme, what the fuck matters besides your children? Nothing. And even they're going to grow old if they're lucky. You know what I mean? So the Oscars don't matter. Movies don't matter. Music doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. We decide that it matters to us, right? Movies matter to me. I like characters. I like story. I like music. I like cinematography. I like lighting. I like twists. I like excitement. I like getting scared. I like these things as entertainment as I'm going through this life. And, it matters to me. That's why it matters. And it matters to people who love this form of entertainment and fun. And that's why it matters. We decided. We make it matter. It matters to us. And it matters to them, too, as the people doing the job. And they should always, kind of be aware of that and appreciate that. So, kind of rambling, but, like, obviously this shit doesn't matter, but in the scheme of it matters to us because it's one of our favorite forms of entertainment, not to mention the fact how lucrative it is and how, financially important it is to thousands of careers and jobs, and, people who aren't on the movie posters who, depend on it as a thriving business. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but in the grand scheme of things. But it does matter to me that, coming together to celebrate films and entertainment and things that bring people so much joy, I think, yeah, should be treated with respect, and should be treated professional, and should be allowed to be fun and have fun and make mistakes and whatever. The Oscars. I mean, if I were putting on the Oscars, I would do things a lot differently. But who hasn't felt that emotion? Anyway, enough about that. Should have never slapped Chris Rock. Chris Rock was a badass, completely professional. Will Smith was right to resign. The Academy was right to suspend him. Ultimately, the suspension doesn't matter, and I think in 5 years it'll all be back to normal. And I genuinely think Chris Rock will probably forgive Will Smith, because I think he'd probably agree in time and in hindsight that that was not, that mistake does not, sum up Will Smith. 30 years of Will Smith sums up Will Smith. That slap sums up probably an ego problem, and having trouble dealing with other issues problem, and just a lapse in judgment. Anyway, that's what I would say about the slap. The slap didn't slap. And let's actually move on to briefly discuss the results of the Oscars based on what I predicted. Did you know that if you support me on patreon.com/superjersh, you can get this podcast early and ad-free? You probably didn't know that because you're listening to this promotion right now. Which means you also probably didn't know that there are dozens of hours of Patreon exclusive content over there, like full album music reactions and full movie watch-along commentaries. So head on over to patreon.com/superjersh to help the music and movie discussions continue. And for you gamers out there, don't forget to check out my gaming-focused YouTube channel, youtube.com/jershplays. Recently, I've been focusing on Guild Wars 2, Overwatch, and Fortnite, but there are also dozens of hours of gameplay videos for single-player games like Detroit Become Human and the Resident Evil series. Subscribe to that channel ASAP. It's free and helps a lot. Speaking of free, if Patreon isn't your thing, make sure you are liking the posts, commenting, sharing, rating, and reviewing, and subscribing everywhere that you can if you enjoy anything that I produce, music, movie, or gaming related. The only way it can continue is with your help. If this is all too much to remember and you want to see the different types of content I'm producing all in one place, just visit my website, superjersh.com. The results themselves, let's take a look. So I've got my predictions here, and I'm just going to focus on the 12 categories that I had predicted, what I wanted to win and what I predicted would win, which were two different things. If you need to have that clarified, listen to the last episode. So let's look at results. So first off, best costumes. Went to Cruella. I didn't watch that movie because I'm not the biggest Emma Stone fan, and I neither me nor my son had really any interest in watching that movie, so didn't catch it. Happy for them. If the costumes are good, then they deserve to win. So I predicted Dune and I wanted Nightmare Alley. I got nothing that I wanted. And also the way that I usually score this is if what I wanted to win wins, it's 1 point. If what I predicted to win, it's 1 point. If both things occur, if what I want and what I predict happen, it's 3 points. And then I try to see how many points I have at the end. When it's just me, I just do it out of curiosity. I have had guests on the podcast in the past where it's maybe a little bit more competitive, but it's not something I've done every year. We'll see, if this podcast is around next year, we'll see what I do. But anyway, that's where the thought came from. So best editing went to Dune, which, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall, Dune won 4 Academy Awards, all technical, and I feel like again, maybe it's been said better someplace else, but I mean, what does best editing even mean? What does that mean? Like, I feel like that when I think of best editing, I think that because of how the footage you're being shown was cut together, the subject matter and performances are amplified. That they were, it was basically it was like the most interesting or exciting way to put together the footage, right? The best example that I can think of, no spoilers, is Arrival, also a Denis Villeneuve movie. In the climax of that film, when Amy Adams' character is uh, realizing certain pieces of information that kind of bring the whole plot of the movie together. I think that's like one of the that's one of the best edited sequences I've ever seen in my life because of when they show you certain characters at certain moments and her realizing and reacting to certain things and just the right amount of sequencing and order of events and how they're showing it. Um, I just think was masterful. The other thing is like choosing what to include in the movie. Maybe we need to edit this out, right? Maybe this scene is going on too long and it's time to change. There's a lot that goes into editing. Anyway, I felt like Dune was overly long and not even a full movie, so I'm surprised. I'm surprised that it won best editing. I wanted Tick Tick Boom. I thought Don't Look Up would happen. I got 0 points, so 0 for that. 0 for that. Uh, and I mean, the best parts about Dune were technical. I didn't really care about the characters. I didn't really care about the plot. I didn't the Zimmer score, which I think also won while we're talking about it, was not particularly memorable based just on a Hans Zimmer scale, let alone the entire scale of the Oscars. I love Hans Zimmer. Anything that he wins, I'm happy for him because the dude has written some of my favorite film scores of all time. But like right now, I couldn't tell you a single note of melody from that soundtrack. So far, 0 for 3 on costumes, editing, and musical score. Best adapted screenplay. I wanted Coda to win. I thought The Power of the Dog would win. I think The Power of the Dog walked away with no awards or maybe one award. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no awards. Which, good. Because that movie, it just wasn't a good movie. I don't understand why it got nominated by so many things. For so many things. I think I rated it like a 3 or 3.5 out of 5 on my letterbox. I don't know, but I was just completely underwhelmed by that movie. And so but I thought that it was going to have more of an awards presence, but I kind of wanted it to get the smaller awards so that it wouldn't infringe on the bigger awards that I thought better movies deserved. So what ended up winning? Let's see. Best adapted screenplay went to Coda, and that's what I wanted to win because I loved Coda. I have a review in a previous podcast. Again, I don't watch trailers around here. I avoid entertainment news. I become aware that a movie is being made and then I watch it when it comes out so that the movie can speak for itself. So, I think maybe the trailer I always feel this way, but I feel like the trailer probably gave away a little too much. I watched the trailer afterwards. Some of the biggest emotional beats in the movie that really got to me are kind of revealed in the trailer. So yeah, Coda won, so we got 1 point. Best screenplay, I wanted Don't Look Up. I thought this was where Licorice Pizza was gonna get some love, and it went to Belfast, which I didn't watch that movie. I'm not a huge Kenneth Branagh fan, and for what I heard, that was kind of a bummer result. Even people who liked the movie didn't think it should have won Best Screenplay. I have no opinion about it. I haven't seen it. So 0 points. Best Animated Film. I wanted The Mitchells versus Machines. I predicted Mitchells versus the Machines, and it went to. I think it went to Encanto. Yeah, Best Animated Feature, Encanto, which is Gotta be honest, Encanto is a lesser Moana. Like, I love Moana, and uh, yeah, it just. I mean, I guess a lot of Disney movies are the same. There's very much a template now, but just something about the characters, the performances, the music, the animation, the journey of Moana, just and Lin Manuel Miranda wrote that music around the same time he had written the Hamilton music, or shortly after. I think getting the Moana gig is one of his first big gigs after Hamilton blew up for him, and I just think he was in the zone in that era. Hamilton and the Moana soundtrack are easily my favorite Lin Manuel Miranda music. Everything else I have not really been, I have not enjoyed nearly as much. Vivo, a close follow up. There's 2 or 3 songs on the Vivo soundtrack that I think are pretty good. Anyway, best cinematography. I wanted Nightmare Alley. I predicted Dune. It did go to Dune. I got a point. I can't even tell you like Spielberg, Nolan, PTA, Zemeckis. Like I can picture in my mind so many like iconic, memorable, like film angles and film sequences and things that I'll never forget. Even Denis in earlier works like Prisoners, or Blade Runner or Arrival, just like images that stick with you because they make an emotional impact on you. And I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in Dune. I guess there's a sandworm, but I thought the sandworm was pretty underwhelming. Best supporting actress. I wanted Ariana DeBose. I predicted Ariana DeBose. I believe she won for West Side Story. Why is it so hard to find what I'm looking for? I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna do the long way. Best supporting actress. Yeah, Ariana DeBose. Yep. She won. We get 3 points for that one, baby. West Side Story, I was fine with. I've warmed up to it a little bit more the more that I've thought about it in hindsight and kind of appreciated what Spielberg was trying to do, which is not modernize it, but just do a modern, better, less offensive, take on the material, still having it stuck in the 50s. And with that in mind, like, it's fine for what it wanted to accomplish. And I did genuinely love the camera work. The camera work is always some of the favorite stuff in Spielberg movies. Best supporting actor. I wanted Troy Kotzer from Coda. I predicted Jesse Plemons from Power of the Dog. It did go to Troy Kotzer. Super happy for him. Well deserved. Loved that character. Loved that family dynamic. Again, I said it in the review. They just didn't feel like actors. They just felt like a family, and that's like the highest praise you can give a film because it's all pretend. So best actress. I wanted Jessica Chastain. I predicted Jessica Chastain. Jessica Chastain won, and I have not even seen The Eyes of Tammy Faye. I haven't seen the trailer. I haven't seen the movie. I just know that it's about Tammy Faye because the name Tammy Faye is in the title. If Tammy Faye's name wasn't in the title, I wouldn't know it was about her. And the only thing that I know about Tammy Faye, if I am even remembering correctly, is that she was just a popular evangelist. I don't know anything else about her. Best actor, I wanted Andrew Garfield. I predicted Power of the Dog. It went to Will Smith, who, played Aladdin in the live-action remake. That's the pertinent trivia right now, right? Anyway, no points. Best director, I wanted and predicted Spielberg. Oh, there's the... And it went to the Power of the Dog, which is unfortunate. Power of the Dog is such an actor's movie. I don't know how how do all the actors get snubbed and the director gets the award. when it's a performance movie, there's nothing fancy or memorable, or I guess the culmination of the pieces coming together is kind of memorable, but um, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, the director is the final decision maker. So all the things that come together in kind of the culminating sequence, the performances of the actors, how information is revealed to you, almost kind of like Arrival that I just talked about, and the editing uh, that they use to show you certain scenes that don't seem to make a lot of sense, then make more sense with context later. That's all, the director has the final say on that. And so I guess when you think about all those filmmaking tools in the kit coming together to give you kind of the most fulfilling part of the power of the dog, again, even though I didn't really enjoy the movie, I thought that information did come together pretty well after thinking about it and reading about it. In the moment when I saw it, because I was not really invested or interested in the movie, I was just like, what? Okay, who cares? Anyway, congratulations. Best Picture, I wanted Coda. I predicted West Side Story. I thought Steven Spielberg, I think he's over 70 now. And this was a movie that he's romanticized making for decades and was like an important musical for his childhood. And I thought from the politics side of the Oscars, I thought this was going to be like a big time kind of Steven Spielberg appreciation year. You finally got to make West Side Story. People loved it. Uh, and It's a musical, and West Side Story historically, I think it had won over 10 Academy Awards when it came out in the 50s or 60s. And I just thought, this is West Side Story's year, and this is Steven Spielberg's year. I thought director and Best Picture were going to go hand in hand, and they didn't. Best Picture did go to Coda, which so I was so happy because, like I said in my review, like that's the first movie to actually make me cry in over a decade. And I mean, I am partially deaf. I'm deaf in one ear, but I want to make it like completely clear that like the fact that the family was deaf isn't what got to me emotionally. It was their dynamics, how they leaned on each other, and how they were used to their way of life, how things had been. And then when the family grows up and the kids want to start doing their own things, and their way of life is kind of shattered and changed. Like it wasn't that's what I thought was so powerful and moving and relatable. It's like yes, of course, like the deafness plays a role in who they are as characters, but it's not the reason for me that I was invested. It just was part of their characters. It just was, I've never seen a family like this be the central family of a movie like this. So this is fun, this is new, this is interesting. I'm loving, the subtitles, I'm loving the emotion and the performances, and how they're interacting with each other. It just felt I just really, really liked it. And again, it reminds me of A Star is Born, where it's like it's a little cliche and it's a little predictable, and from a plot perspective, it's really nothing new. But there's something about the characters, there's something about how they act, and there's something about the tone of how the movie comes together. It reminds me of like really good like '90s Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump, Castaway, where it's just like this is a movie. Like there's just a tone to this thing. It just feels really good to watch. And yeah, so happy for Coda, happy for those actors, happy for those people. It is a remake, unfortunately, which I think I had said this in my predictions episode that there's not a single original script nominated for Best Picture. I think it's all remakes or based on. Because The Power of the Dog is based on a book. Let's go to Best Pictures. Let's go to Best Picture. Wherever the hell it might be. Okay. So Coda's a remake. Belfast was, I think, autobiographical. I think Kenneth Branagh, but that would still be kind of considered original. Don't Look Up was an original screenplay, based on global warming or pandemic. I don't know what the story is with Drive My Car. I haven't seen it yet. Dune is obviously pre-existing property. King Richard is based on a book, I believe. Licorice Pizza was Again, I talked about it in the Licorice Pizza review, but yes, PTA wrote it, but he based it on a lot of true stories he had been told by friends over the years. Power of the Dog is based on a book. West Side Story is a remake of a film of a play. So yeah, so there's a couple opportunities for originality there, and again, uh, like originality doesn't exist because we've lived too long. Stories have been told too long, films have been made too long. Things that are actually, real original are hard to come by, and even the most original ideas, you can draw parallels to other ideas. But I still think it's important to not accept defeat in that arena, to try, I think storytellers and filmmakers and musicians and video game developers and everybody that makes the entertainment that we love, they have a duty in being in that privileged position to try to push past those boundaries and come up with as original a thought as they can. Try to do something different, something new. And I mean, at the end of the day, even if it is stories that have already been told, that hasn't been told by them, so there's going to be an inherently kind of new value placed on it. But yeah, congratulations to the winners. Let's see how many points I got, as if it matters. 10 points out of a possible 36. 3 times 12. So pretty rough year for my predictions, but I also had said during the predictions episode that I'll gladly bomb predictions if it means things that I want win. Super happy for Coda. Happy for Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. I thought she was the best part of the movie, and really happy for Troy Kotzer. So, speaking of chasing originality in storytelling and coming up with something new, I want to share some brief thoughts about Severance. Did you know that if you support me on patreon.com/superjersh, you can get this podcast early and ad-free? You probably didn't know that because you're listening to this promotion right now. Which means you also probably didn't know that there are dozens of hours of Patreon exclusive content over there, like full album music reactions and full movie watch-along commentaries. So head on over to patreon.com/superjersh to help the music and movie discussions continue. And for you gamers out there, don't forget to check out my gaming-focused YouTube channel, youtube.com/JershPlays. Recently, I've been focusing on Guild Wars 2, Overwatch, and Fortnite, but there are also dozens of hours of gameplay videos for single-player games like Detroit Become Human and the Resident Evil series. Subscribe to that channel ASAP. It's free and helps a lot. Speaking of free, if Patreon isn't your thing, make sure you are liking the posts, commenting, sharing, rating, and reviewing, and subscribing everywhere that you can if you enjoy anything that I produce, music, movie, or gaming related. The only way it can continue is with your help. If this is all too much to remember and you want to see the different types of content I'm producing all in one place, just visit my website, superjersh.com. Now, these are going to be spoiler-free thoughts because I genuinely hope that if you have not seen or heard of Severance, which is streaming exclusively on Apple Plus, that you check it out. My honest opinion is that, like, even watching a review of something, and I know I'm hardcore about this and not everybody feels the same way, but even watching or hearing spoiler-free thoughts on something is going to shade and impact your expectations for what you're going to watch. And in that way, your experience is going to be altered unless you had just watched the thing yourself and come to your own conclusion. So before I get into my thoughts about it, I just want to say I highly recommend watching Severance. Apple Plus is $5. If you consider it a movie rental, I believe there was 9 almost hour-long episodes of the show. And Coda's on there too, which just won Best Picture. Again, this is not an ad. I'm not an advocate of, I'm not a paid advertiser for Apple or anything, but I'm just saying for $5, you can watch the Best Picture winner and you can watch Severance. And In my opinion, that's a good value if you enjoy television and streaming shows and movies as entertainment. So, with that out of the way, with giving you a chance to go watch it before uh, hearing anything that I have to say, I will now say things about the show. Um, the pilot is probably top three best first episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. My personal, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, it would have to be Severance, then probably The Leftovers, and then maybe Lovecraft Country, if I'm being honest. I thought that had a really strong, I thought that was a very strong pilot for a show that really kind of disappointed me towards the end. But just world introduction and character introduction, tone introduction, the music. I love the music. I actually am thankfully I skipped. I would even recommend skipping the intro for this show because the intro kind of gives away things that happens in future episodes. That like thankfully I had like skipped the intro um, on like 4 or 5 episodes before I watched it, and I was like, oh wow, okay. Anyway, it stars Adam Scott and was is a lot of the episodes are directed by Ben Stiller, and it was created by somebody who, again, it's nothing personal, just as somebody who also like who has independently made films for the better part of a decade now, just I don't know, trying to make things happen on my own. It's a bummer when you see somebody with literally no IMDb credits to their name, just all of a sudden they are the executive producer of a Ben Stiller show. It's like you didn't just come out of nowhere and just walk into a Warner Brothers office or an Apple office and then suddenly now you get to be the executive producer of a Ben Stiller Adam Scott. Like you know somebody knows you. You've been maybe a silent producer or an uncredited rewriter or something, but you don't just all of a sudden become the creator and executive producer of an Apple or Netflix TV series without knowing people. So inherent nepotism of Hollywood aside, of it's all about who you know. Um, this show is absolutely like I love it. I love the concept. I love the exploration. I don't even want to give away what it's about because again, this is spoiler free. The concept, the general concept of the show, is a wonderful concept. It could easily be wasted if it were not properly explored, if it felt like a gimmick or something that they tried to, they could be too cute about it. You know what I mean? Um, but they explore the central premise of Adam Scott's character and his coworkers' characters in such a way uh, that it really kind of it maximizes the entertainment value, the dramatic value, almost the comedic value as well. I really, really uh, got attached to the characters. John Turturro is in this show. He's incredible. John Turturro is always incredible, but um, the I think Helly, the actress that plays Helly, I this is gonna sound weird, but when they're walking around their workspace, they have like there's like a how do I say this? There's a certain way that their characters move, and Helly has this like bounce in her step, this energy, and her red hair bounces, and she gets this look in her face, and it happens more than once. Like whenever she's walking around the office, she just has this way that she walks that just like I liked a lot. I really liked how her character walked around that office because um I don't know, it was fun, it was consistent, and it's like when things happen and she has to go walk somewhere, you know she's gonna fucking walk this way. And I don't know. And all the characters do that. I like how John Turturro kind of pops his head over, the divider. Um I will say, what do I say? Hopefully, it doesn't go the way of other high concept shows that have a crazy amount of setup to all these wonderful possible mysteries and not have any fulfilling answers for them. Thinking about Lost, thinking about mostly Lost, which was a show that I loved as well. But I really liked. I like the show. I like the characters. I like the music. I like how it's shot. The cinematography of it. I can't remember the character's name, but the go between Patricia Arquette, the manager, and Adam Scott, the subordinate manager and assistant regional manager, and the go between those people who like comes in and gives them their special flair for doing such a good job at work, or gives them music time or whatever. He's a great character and a great actor as well, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I took a chance on the show. The reason that I even watched the show at all is because I had seen online on Twitter a few people had mentioned positive things about the show, so I avoided. I was like, I know I'll watch it someday. I don't want to know what's about. I'll figure it out on my own. And I signed up for Apple to watch Coda and review Coda, and it was getting ready to expire. And I was like, is there anything else on here I want to watch before I cancel it? Because I just wanted to watch Coda. And Severance was recommended, and I was like, oh yeah, I heard a lot of good things. I can at least check out the pilot. It's only 45 minutes. At the end of the pilot, I was like, I don't care if this falls off a cliff. I'm finishing this whole series, this whole first season. It is the show has recently been greenlit for a season 2, which I'm absolutely ecstatic for. I'm not going to be able to handle watching one episode at a time. I came to the show once the season was over, so I couldn't stop watching it. I watched the whole thing in like 3 days. I just had to know what happened. I wanted to know the fun they were going to have with the premise. I wanted to see certain setups get paid off, and they do. And that's what's so rewarding about this season and this series is that a lot of things happen in these 9 episodes. A situation is set up and information is revealed. Like, things that are questions at the beginning are not questions at the end. You have kind of definitive answers on curiosities you have as a viewer. But then, in a really good storytelling fashion, some other, even, just as interesting questions get set up that aren't answered because they're hoping for more seasons, that you're like, hell yeah, I want to see more of this. So, basically a 10 out of 10. The hesitation is that some of these mysteries some of these setups won't get paid off satisfactorily, but just based on the body of work that we have here, these 9 episodes of some of my favorite television that I've ever watched, it's absolutely a 10 out of 10, and I cannot recommend Severance enough. It is absolutely worth checking out Apple Plus for $5 just to be able to watch that series alone. That is going to do it for this episode of No Trailers Allowed. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find more episodes on my website, superjersh.com. You can support me and get this podcast early and ad-free by visiting patreon.com/superjersh. The video version of this show is available on youtube.com/superjersh. You can follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram @superjersh. To email me and be a part of the show with your questions, comments, or suggestions, you can email me at notrailersallowed@gmail.com. I am dying to know, what did the folks out there think of the Oscars, and what did the folks think of Severance? If you get a chance to watch it, email me, let me know. Don't forget, we also are on Spotify and iTunes as well. If you listen to podcasts there, give us a 5-star rating and review. Help us broaden the audience, because the internet is a very crowded place. As always, thank you for watching or listening. Until next time.